We will go up one floor in terms of framing it all, in terms of partners, but also in terms of the government. We have, of course, our first Prime Minister, Julia Sviridenko. Please join me on stage. And Howard Buffett, the Buffett Foundation, which is a foundation, maybe not everyone knows it, you should. Very generous everywhere around the world. You are deployed and you are alleviating a lot of suffering in this place. We have also an introduction of the Buffett Foundation in terms of a video for the ones of you who want to know more. This is just a teaser, please.
The Howard G. Buffett Foundation is a private charitable foundation established in 1999. Howard Buffett is a farmer, photographer, businessman, former elected official, and chairman and CEO of the Howard G. Buffett Foundation. The foundation's main focus areas are food security, conflict mitigation, and combating human trafficking. It has a global presence, working across Africa, Central and South America, and the United States. The foundation has worked in Ukraine since the 2022 full-scale invasion, where it has committed more than $800 million in humanitarian and development assistance. Mr. Buffett has visited Ukraine 14 times since 2022. The Foundation's grant-making is directed towards humanitarian demining, investigation and documentation of war crimes, food assistance, agriculture, and strategic infrastructure. Through Victory Harvest, the Foundation is helping farmers continue planting, harvesting, and storing their crops by loaning equipment free of charge to farmers who have suffered losses due to the war. 271 million meals were delivered to frontline communities in Ukraine since the full-scale invasion. The Foundation funded the construction of the Superhuman Center in Lviv that supports veterans and victims of landmines and explosive remnants of war in their recovery and with prosthetics. In the field of humanitarian demining, over $120 million have been provided to build Ukraine's operational capacity to demine, expedite return of agricultural land to production, and generate research and innovation in the mine action space. Critical regions for agriculture like Kharkiv, Mykolaiv and Kherson are priorities. To achieve this, the Foundation is working with several partners, including the Ukrainian Ministry of Economy and a number of international humanitarian demining organizations, including Harlow Trust and the Fondation Suisse de Déminage, FSD. The Foundation is committed to supporting Ukraine to demine its land safely and efficiently, to restore Ukraine's position as the breadbasket of the world.
Thank you. For the vigilant observer, you could see the Deputy Prime Minister on the video in full gear and also experiencing the mining. You are one of these inspiring women Ukraine has, and you are from the same region as Nadia is, Chernihiv, and you have done for your country a lot. We have seen that you have created this framework of what can be done after you have observed the victims and what mines do to people and regions. And I think it's important that you tell the audience once more what is this frame and also what are the challenges this has done. You have done in 1 year demined the size of Switzerland. This is a huge task, so how did you go about it?
Thank you. Thank you. I'm delighted to be here together with Howard Buffett. He is our national hero. You know, he's a national legend. He's officially got this title, so that's why I'm very pleased to be here. And of course, you just mentioned Nadia that was sitting here before. Yes, we're from Chernihiv region. It's a northern part of Ukraine, border with Russia, and I'm impressed by her. She's so brave and innovative. So I would say I also just want to tell you that the mining activity, it's something Minister of Economy, so obviously it's not a natural function of our ministry, but because of the war, we need to find a way how to get additional resources to be able to survive through the wartime, and we start to look through the all bottlenecks that our businesses are facing, and for agricultural sector, it's obvious mines that are on the field. So that's why we decided to set up a strategy and to be more actively involved in the mining activity and to find a way how to use limited resources that we have within the country with more efficiency. And then there was assumption from our side that probably we need to split the actions that are doing by Minister of Defense, by Minister of Interior Affairs, and to see whether it's possible to think about the market, the mining market, and to provide some services for the farmers. So the idea was that assumption was that Ministry of Interior Affairs and CESU and Ministry of Defense would be focused on infrastructure, on railways, on communities, and private operators will appear and will help us to provide the mining service for the farmers. And actually, we launched the first pilot projects, and now we have 56 operators, and we have set up 20 auctions. So for 6,000 hectares, and we see that the price have been decreased during this auction up to 18%. So it means that this market start to appear, and it means that we don't need to take the resources from the state emergency service. It means that these operators can provide us with this aid. So that's why it means that probably you would be able to set up the mining market, and it means that it's additional investment opportunity for those operators that now are working globally and considering should they come to Ukraine or not. But of course, we understand perfectly well that the mining activity it's something that can't be lived by Ukrainian budget, because this is the huge task that we have faced. So that's why we need partners. I'm not saying donors, but partners. And it's good that we have this dimension during this conference related to partners, to people, because I think it's the most important in every activity, in the mining industry, in government service, in business operation. So that's why I'm like a Minister of Economy, I'm in charge of the development of the market, and I am in charge of returning agricultural land to production use, and of course I am in charge of the most efficient way of using the state resources that we have.
Thank you, and I like particularly that you said you prefer partners. That's
Partners.
what we also prefer to be. Mr. Buffett, you are one of the partners, a very generous one. You were not in Ukraine before 2022, so you also had to get out of your comfort zone a bit, and then you went full speed. I would like to know from you how come, and then also maybe how is Ukraine a different partner to you than maybe in other countries that you have worked?
Well, you saw that we focus a lot on food security, which includes a global portfolio very specific to agriculture as well, and also on conflict mitigation. So when the full-scale invasion occurred in February of 2022, it became obvious to myself and our team that it would be very hard for us not to be engaged in Ukraine because of the impact it was going to have, particularly on a lot of countries we've already worked in. We worked in 44 countries in Africa. So some of those countries were definitely going to be hit pretty hard. And so all we could do in the first trip was show up and start to try to learn more about Ukraine, what was happening, what the needs were. And one thing that happens, I think, it happens in, I think, probably all conflict situations, and we worked in a lot of conflict situations, but particularly in a war like this, which is a very aggressive situation with Russia really making a good part of the war, a war on civilians, is you know that you have to move fast. You know that you don't have the luxury of the time that you would like to build relationships and figure out who you can trust. So it accelerates. And you have to figure out much quicker who you can trust, who's going to give you good advice, and learn the lay of the land very fast. So we're actually pretty good at that. We worked in a lot of pretty difficult places in terms of Sudan and El Salvador and Congo and Burundi. So, you know, it helped us set the pace in terms of how we were going to try to figure it out. And then, you know, I also felt, not on the first trip, but I felt that soon after, Ukraine looked to me like something that I never expected to come along in my lifetime. So I looked at it as both a challenge, and maybe this is not the right way to say it, but an opportunity. Because I think most people don't even have a challenge like this put in front of them with the resources and the interest and the partnerships to develop, to be able to step up and do something really big. So I noticed and started to realize very quickly that we would have to either go all in and go big and go fast, or we would have no impact. So to me, personally, it was a challenge that I knew that if we did not step up and take the challenge, that at some point, looking back, I would very, very much regret that we didn't do that, that I would be very disappointed in myself and the fact that our foundation didn't step up. So I wouldn't say it was so much out of an obligation. I would say it was more of understanding very quickly that it was a privilege to work with the people in Ukraine. And our whole team has developed that attitude. I got them all on a phone call after my first trip to Ukraine, and I said, I know you guys all have a real job. You have a day job. You know, you're all working somewhere. You've got big responsibilities. But now you have another job. And they took it on. I mean, they really took it on and are committed to doing it. So I think that, you know, for me, it's become very personal. And I don't think we can lose sight of what the consequences are if Ukraine is not victorious. There's just not an option. And everybody sitting in this room, you and your families, your agencies, you will be affected if Ukraine is not victorious on the battlefield. So we don't have an option.
Okay, thank you very much. Now, you are one of the partners that thought out of the box. Now, what do you expect from partners to bring, Excellency, in terms also of innovative, and if we go into the innovative part, innovative finance, we heard that from the report of the panels. What do you expect? What has worked? Maybe what would you wish worked better? You can go first.
I just mentioned today that Washington Post said that it would take us 700 years, but me and Govard doesn't have this.
No, we're going to figure it out. We'll have it in 15.
15, so our task is 15. So to do so, we need to be more innovative, that's for sure. And that's why we're very grateful for Govard Buffett Foundation, because he's testing new technology on Ukrainian battlefield, and also, and we hope that we would be ready to certify it and to use it, to scale up it, and to use it in the most affected areas, like you just mentioned in the video, like Kharkiv regions, also Kherson region, Sumy region. So so that's why we need innovation. That's for sure. With not only drones or AI, but also this equipment that using that like robots that you're just testing a few months ago in Ukraine. So we need them on the battlefield to protect people. I mean both operators and agricultural farmers. And if we speak about like finance, of course, we're looking for different options, what we can bring on table. I mean, innovative financial tools is something that we need to solve, because I'm not sure that that our budget, that our other limit would be able to cover all these activities related to the mining, because we have so many challenges. So that's why we need to be innovative once again, and find another way how to finance and to refund to agricultural farmers all these costs related to technical, non-technical solar survey, the costs related to the mining itself. So, and also we need to think about changing the, I'm afraid in this audience to say standards, but we need to change the mindset and approach for the mining activity, because something that we're facing in Ukraine is absolutely unprecedented. So that's why we're not able to use a standard procedures. So we need to a little bit to amend or adjust them, because what we need, we shortage, there is one resource that we always like, it's a shortage of time. So that's why we need to find a way how to return this land to productive use in a very short term, not to go through all this long procedures that can be lasting for months. So that's why technologies and readiness of the global society to perceive this idea of changing the mindset or approach for the mining activity in general.
Yeah. And I know that the Buffett Foundation, and you personally, you're also very much trying to improve whatever is delivered to Ukraine, but whatever could make Ukraine faster, more speedy, innovative on your own farm, right?
Yes, and I think that the minister is hit on one of the most important points, which is changing the mindset and setting a new approach to demining, and it has to happen. If we rely on the old school methods and just on, particularly on manual demining, then it will be hundreds of years. So we have to have a different mindset. The one thing that we can do, and I think we fit uniquely into this spot, is our funding can be quick, it can be flexible, and we'll take a lot of risk. The minister will tell you, we'll sit down and talk about a couple of ideas, and we're ready to fund them the day we talk about them. And so we don't have to go ask anybody, we don't have to ask for permission. That's a huge advantage. The disadvantage is we don't have the same kind of money that, big government aid organizations have. So we can't do the funding at the scale that other people can do it, but we can do it in different ways. For instance, on the innovation side, we've been working about 1.5 years on trying to apply technology that we're aware of from our farming operations. And I started running a bulldozer when I was 16 years old, so I spent a lot of time on equipment. And looking at those different things that I just happen to know, and we talked to our partners about how we could apply these in demining. And the issue becomes two things. One is if you go to USAID or anybody else and say, we want to modify a bulldozer, or we want to do this with a farm tractor, and try to explain it to them as part of a mine action piece, it's a hard sell, because they're going to know that there are pieces of equipment that are made specifically for demining, and they're comfortable with that. And that's fine. We're going to need every machine we can get. We're going to need every approach that we can get. So there's room for everybody. But we started 1.5 years ago, we started blowing stuff up. I mean, no government agency is going to take taxpayers' money and go buy a new tractor and put 800 grams of TNT on it, and then eventually 17 pounds and blow it up. We've destroyed a few things, but we know
a few things.
Yeah, I saw that.
But now we know what will survive. We know what it costs to fix it. We know what we don't want to do with the equipment, and we've learned what we do want to do. So those experiences are things that it's easy for us to do, because one, we understand it, and two, we can spend the money on it. What we've got that we'll put in the field the end of first quarter next year are autonomous tractors and autonomous bulldozers. And the minister ran an autonomous bulldozer. I had to remind her it wasn't remote control, but anyway,
Yes.
Autonomy is not remote control. But we can put these into the field. They're going to run in a boundary. with guidance lines that are set. It's the safest, most efficient way to do it. I guarantee you, in a few years, any machine that goes into the demining field will be run on autonomy. You know, and every machine can be and will be. And then we're also working with the manufacturer in Ukraine. Well, we work with several different ones, but one to actually modify a D6 bulldozer for clearance operations with a tiller head. And so what we're trying to do is figure out how do we take all the technology that's here today that isn't getting used yet, it'll all get used, and put it in the field as fast as we can. So we're working on that. We have had an amazing relationship with John Deere and Caterpillar and also Kinsey Manufacturing. They have all helped us. So we have, and last time I was here down in Mikolai, we went up, Halo set it up, SES did it for us, but we detonated 6 TM62 mines, and we saw what damage was done, and we're really happy with the results, and we're going to be prepared next year to start on this. So the innovation side, and it's going to be, you know, robotics, drone, there's going to be all sorts of things that come into the mix. Ours is one little piece of it. But at the end of the day, you still have to get the mines out of the field. So you can identify them differently, you can map them differently, you can do different things. At the end of the day, you're either going to detonate them or remove them. And if you remove them, it's going to be a long time. So I'm a big believer in mechanical innovation. And I just have to say this, not to embarrass her, but, you know, the minister and her team have been amazing to work with. And it's what encourages us to continue to do what we do. And we will be in Ukraine for as long as you're a minister. How's that?
For 700 years.
Whatever you say.
Thank you. Thank you for that. We hear the commitment, and we also hear that foundations may have different flexibility tools at hand that governments like mine or others have.
I just need more money.
And well, I think the combination of it makes it actually work. And the room here has this combination of different things. So that is the beauty of that room. And we started with people. And we all do this because we want to increase the economy, we want to increase the lives of people and the beauty of the land, restore it. You were a farmer. You still are. And I know that Nebraska and some of the landscapes of Ukraine look very similar, flat, and a lot can grow. What is it that you actually feel as a person when you're engaged in this kind of work, and how does it connect with your homeland?
Well, I kind of react to it on different levels. The first level is as a farmer, and I've been all over the country. And when you go to the farms, particularly in Kharkiv or Kherson, and all the equipment's destroyed, the buildings are destroyed, as a farmer, I look at that and I think, I can't imagine that. I just can't, in my mind, imagine that I come home one day and my whole farm is destroyed. And I can't go farm because there's landmines all across, you know, my fields. So from that standpoint, it's a little overwhelming to think of it on an individual basis as a farmer. I also have, like Nadia is a great example, who when she was up here, you know, I've learned the resilience and the commitment of the Ukrainian people. And it's not just in combat. It's the farmers. You know, they're willing to take the risk and go out because they're going to produce stuff. But, you know, the minister has one of the most difficult jobs in the country because she's got to keep an economy afloat in the middle of a war, and now she's got to put together a process dealing across 3 ministries. How do you divide this up, and how do you put this process together so that you have the most effective, efficient, and responsive and transparent process and system for demining, for humanitarian demining? It's a huge job. Everybody in this room can help her do that, and that would be my appeal, is to figure out how to put the egos aside, how to put you know, the turf aside, and say what is best for Ukraine. You've got the leadership, and you've got the leadership across the board. I mean, all 3 ministers are very reasonable people. Okay, I know them, and they're all very reasonable people. They all care about Ukraine. So you know, when I look at the bigger level of what does it mean to me as a person, I want to appeal to the ministers and the vice ministers, deputy ministers, and I want to say, and the agencies that are sitting here, let's do this together. Let's figure out how we do this and put the differences aside, figure out how to get it done. Don't worry about who's in charge of it, and let's get it done. Because we are going to lose a lot of time just in putting this process together. It's not there today. There's still turf issues today. There's still politics today. We've got to put it aside because we can't get to where we have to get if we don't do that.
Thank you very much for this. Now I turn to you, Excellency. You brought us a gift, a very beautiful one, made by the people of Ukraine. So we know that landmines is just a part of it, a part of what you're trying to do. We heard the task is very huge at hand. What does it do with you when you see your people in this kind of situation? Where do you draw your motivation for the different big, huge tasks that you are endeavoring every day?
I know that we have a small video we will show you with you later, but I just want to say that for me, all Ukrainians are amazing people, because when someone tell me about the resilience equal like people that we have on the ground, and not only combat, but farmers, teachers, doctors, like all who are staying in the country and keep and outside the country, who keep working for Ukraine and keep fighting, and who believe in our victory and do everything they can on their position. So that's why I think why it's so important to keep Ukrainians alive. I mean, to save these lives and to be focused on the mining activity as well. Because our government is absolutely right. Our ministry is a very big one, and we're in charge of different things, and we're developing different types of policies. You know, with like trade policy and investment policy and labor market reforms that are on the way. But the mining activity, it's about people's life. And I know that it's like 6 million Ukrainians are under the risk right now, and we understand that if we won't move faster with innovation, with the standards, with the changing of the mindset, it means that this quantity would be decreased. So the victims that we will have, it would decrease up to like 10,000 people. We just estimate if we won't do anything like by the end of 2030. So it means that I like that you appeal to the audience and ask them to collaborate with us, because I do believe that jointly we can speed up, jointly we can move faster, and we can provide the clearance of the land, and we can return people to the land to productive use, and also we can return Ukrainians that are staying abroad back home, because I also think that it's a big challenge, and one of the reasons why they're not returning back, it's because their buildings are destroyed, but also because of their lands or their community full of mines, and they're not able to return their children back to schools and to the kindergarten. So that's why it's a more broader problem than just agriculture. It's about incentives for Ukrainians that are staying abroad to return back home. And of course, it's about people's life. And if you don't mind, I would ask you to show a small video. It's for 3 minutes, but I think it's important. And it's about this lady that created these napkins in your boxes.
Yes, please show us the video. It gives us actually the idea, the voice of the ladies, the grandmothers that you find in your gift box. Please. And then I give you at the end a minute to ask the audience what you want from them.
That's
if you
dangerous.
Have something to
That's very dangerous.
To at 1 minute. So please, if we can show the video.
Для чого мінували? А мабуть, для того, щоб Україна була знищена, щоб поля українські не родили, щоб знищити націю нашу.
Як працювали на землі, на своїх огородах, так і старалися, що там не літало, треба садити, треба його обробляти і чекати врожаїв восені.
У мене в родині також є воїни, племінники мої, а брат на даний період більше року вже безвісти зник.
Боюся і з острахом лягаю, саме в хаті. І лягаю, думаю, чи проснусь, чи може хату розбомблять.
На даний період під час війни долучилася до проєкту моїм рідним. Стали допомагати нашим воїнам. В'язали шкарпетки, балаклави, шапки. Ну, а щоб заробити на нитки, які нам потрібні, ми займалися рукоділлям.
Мрію перш за все за перемогу і за чисте небо над головою. Це всі так мріють, і я мрію.
Дочекатися своїх рідних, близьких.
І щоб повернулися всі, які безвісти зникли.
Ну, купити красиве плаття, напекти смаколиків, наварити смачного борщу і запросити всіх своїх рідних, друзів. І нарешті посміхнутися і виплакати усі сльози, щоб надалі вже нам не плакати.
Well, thank you for bringing us. It reminds us that at the end it's about the people. And maybe to close this panel, I give first to you, Mr. Buffett, the opportunity to say 2 or 3 words what this video, but also the people of Ukraine mean to you and what you expect from the audience.
Well, I would ask everybody to remember why we're sitting here. We're sitting here because we've watched the most aggressive attack on another country's sovereignty since World War II. And when you go through Ukraine and you drive through many, many villages and cities and towns that have been completely decimated, and you think about what's that done to all of those families that live there. Some of them have left, some of them have been killed, some of them have lost brothers and sisters, some of them will never be able to return home. Some of them ended up in superhumans to get prosthetics. So I would say, remember why we're sitting here and talking about demining, because demining is a piece of it. But the reason we're here is because there's a country that has started a war that is unnecessary. Ukraine didn't want it. They're fighting for their democracy, they're fighting for their freedom, and they're fighting for their sovereignty. Those are all principles and values that we care about, everybody sitting in this room. It is in our best interest. And I say we can do it because we're selfish. We can do it because it's the right thing ethically. We can do it because it's the right thing morally. But it's in our best interest, however you want to look at it, to make sure Ukraine succeeds. All you have to do is think about the consequences if Ukraine does not succeed and where that puts us. I read someone said that we're pretty much like in 1938 in World War II, and I believe that that's true. We are looking at, and people may not want to say this, they may not want to accept it, they may not like it, but we are walking ourselves into World War III. And we're doing it out of fear. We're doing it because we are scared to stand up to someone that will continue to do whatever he can get away with in any way that he can do it. He doesn't care who gets hurt. He doesn't care who's in the way. And if you think you can make a deal with this guy, go read history. Go read what Putin has done. My dad told me once, you can't make a good deal with a bad guy. He is worse than a bad guy. And if you make a deal with him, all he's going to do is take the time, rebuild his army, build his friendships with North Korea and Iran, common enemies to all of us that believe in freedom and democracy. And what he's going to do is come back stronger than before. Ukraine has done and accomplished an amazing thing in terms of a military effort. They've taken on an army 5 times their size. They've run their navy out of the Black Sea. Sorry, I'm on
It's a bit
minute
longer.
3.
It's
But
exactly.
they
Up close.
have run the navy out of the Black Sea. They have been able to go deep into Russia and hit ammunition depots and oil. And what do? We tell them that they can't use our missiles past the border. We have handed Russia the most strategic, tactical advantage that you can have in a war. And the last thing I'm going to say is, think about how we've ever fought a war. The United States has never gone into conflict without establishing air superiority. But what did we tell Ukraine when they asked for F-16s 2 years ago? You don't need them. Every general in the United States knows they needed them. And when we went into the Gulf War, we flew 100,000 sorties over 5 weeks and dropped 88,000 tons of bombs before we sent anybody forward. We established air superiority. Russia has had it from the beginning. So our countries are going to have to stand up, decide that they can't continue to be fearful of someone who does not care who's in front of them, and everyone in this room has to stand together, and we have to do it stronger than we've done it in the past, because right now we're failing. We cannot afford to fail. So what I'm asking you is make sure Ukraine does not fail.
Thank you. Excellency, anything to add? I'm sure you do.
It's hard to add anything. I'm absolutely agree on everything that Governor just mentioned. I just want to underline once again, for Ukraine, it's existential war. Not only for Ukraine, but for democracy in general. And actually, it's a time when it's the right time when you need to make decision. You are going to stand for democracy, or you are going to join the side that can be described like a pure evil. So for me, the choice is obvious. So that's why I just want to remind you that we are fighting not just for our own independence, but we are fighting for the democracy in general.
Thank you very much. So it is about the people, it is about the progress, and it's also about the partnership. So let us all be responsible partners with a mindset flexible enough to change, so that we can take the risks to deliver with Ukraine, for Ukraine. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
I didn't get in too much trouble.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Benissimo. Thank you. Thank you very much, Ambassador Patricia Danzi, for the moderation of the 2 panels, and thank you to the guests. And now, for one last time, we can have the chance to hear the voices and the instruments of our fantastic trio.
Місячна зоряна ясная, видно, хоч колки збирай. Види, коханая, працею зморена, хоч на хвилиночку в гай. Види, коханая, працею зморена, хоч на хвилиночку Я ж тебе вірная, аж до хати доньки, сам на руках однесу.
Thank you, dear musicians. Thank you, Yulia Shevchenko, Liga Yetskalniya, and Davide Di Pilato. Thank you very much indeed.